Welcome, sisters. Welcome into this container that has been lovingly created just for you. So, I want to begin just by mentioning that although the conversations held within this container are for you as a woman entrepreneur, and they were designed to help you expand and grow towards your highest levels of potential and fulfillment and income and all that yummy stuff that you desire and you believe is success as a woman who owns her sacred business. This is really not going to be your typical strategy-based event. It's truly an alchemical journey where you will release old limiting beliefs and you get to anchor in new empowering truths that will really help you step into your power. And this event is going to be including the feminine principles of ease, of flow, of beauty, of collaboration. And very strongly, we're going to be speaking of the body and the body as an instrument, a sacred temple that has been given to us by Source, by creation herself, to become these powerful creators in our own lives. And not only that, we will understand more deeply here on our journey together that we can use the body as an ally to become really powerful recipients of the prosperity and everything that this amazing, abundant world has to offer us. And you will learn all the beautiful ways to open to that prosperity and to hold more through using and following and responding to the intelligence of the body. So as we begin here, I just want to welcome you to open to this new way of being successful and prosperous in your business and in your life. This is a way that you fully embody, you get to fully embody your power as a creatrix, as a priestess, as a medicine woman who has chosen to be brave, to be bold when it comes to sharing her gifts in this lifetime. Because you know how much your medicine is needed, right? You know your magic is needed. And right now you're choosing to be supported as you walk your sacred path as an entrepreneur. So I want to talk a little bit about who is meant to be here. So you're in the right place if you're a healer, a coach, a transformational guide, and you have this amazing sacred business that you get to use your own creative powers to really just shape and mold as you wish, in order to serve at the highest levels. And yet you may have encountered challenges along the way. And perhaps these challenges were financial in nature, but they don't have to be. And maybe your health has been compromised, or you've been pushing yourself too hard, or maybe your relationships have been compromised because you've been kind of so immersed in your work that the relationships take a toll. And these are all situations that happen to us women in business. And I speak from personal experience. And it doesn't mean that we're not conscious, because we are. We're very highly conscious women. If you're here, I know you're a conscious woman and you're an empath and highly sensitive, most likely. But these challenges occur because we're just so passionate about helping. We're so passionate about serving. And we're also very strongly dedicated to making a difference in the world. And, I know for me personally, like I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my heart. I feel my heart alight with flames, wanting to spread my message, wanting to do my light work. And I'm sure the same is for you. So as a consequence of this, though, many of us can get really lost in pushing ourselves and extracting from ourselves every last ounce of energy, because we know we are meant to succeed and prosper. But this is not the way. This is no longer the way. And when I say succeed and prosper, what I really mean is fulfill our soul's mission, unleash our creativity, be resourced, be supported, doing what we love every step of the way. It doesn't have to be money, but it can include money. So I just want to be clear about that. So again, I welcome you into this circle if this is you. And I will also mention that some of you may be here without knowing why. And this is just perfect. So maybe you registered on a whim, curious about what it looked like inside this portal. And I really just want you to honor this. You were really listening to your intuition. And I pray that what you experience here will fill you up, will replenish you, and nourish you from the inside out. So with that, I would love to open and ground our circle of sisters here on this opening day with an opening activation. And just so you know a little bit of the lay of the land, with where I'm headed, I will follow the activation with a talk where I will give you some practical steps to awaken and reclaim and rise as your inner priestess of prosperity. And it's a really special topic that is near and dear to my heart. So I hope you enjoy it. So for now, I invite you here to really just find your space, find a space that's comfortable and where you won't be disturbed. Perhaps you want to dim the lights. Maybe you want to light a candle. I've done that over here. And yeah, maybe just find a way to mark this moment as you cross an important threshold in your life. This is an important moment. So I'm going to place a beautiful image on the screen now so that you can gently gaze at it, or you can close your eyes, whichever one you feel most comfortable with. So 1 second here. Okay. All right. So here we are. Now just take a deep breath with me here as we are arriving here into this present moment. We have arrived here at this temple door of the portal of the sacred container that is embodied prosperity. And I'm just here to open the space for you, for your journey, and create the container for you to feel what has called you here, and to really set that groundwork or that cadence for the next conversations and the activations that you'll be deepening into. So I'm just so honored that you've arrived here, and it's such a blessing that you will be receiving the wisdom and the guidance that has the potential to blast open your heart and give you that direction and clarity that you've been yearning for. So let's just ground into this present moment so that we can expand and really feel ready to remember and to reclaim and rise as the priestesses, the witches, the medicine women, and the wise women we all are. And that we have been in past lifetimes and will continue to be in future lifetimes. Okay, so now just letting your root drop deep into the earth. And I'm going to actually close my video so that you can just focus on your internal world. So letting your root drop deep into the earth, maybe spiraling your hips, or just really feeling into that roundness of your pelvic bowl as you root down, making that connection to the surface you're sitting on. And then Just go deeper down. Anchor yourself down into the earth. And you can even drop tendrils or roots down through the layers of rock and mineral and those fertile, rich, dark soils and the waterways. So keep moving down and sensing and feeling your way to Mama's core. And when you feel you are there, just wrap your roots around her ruby red core. This is Mother Earth's womb. You are now anchored into the intelligence of the great Mother's womb. There's just so much wisdom and nourishment and pure potential to create when we are resourced from this place. So on the exhalation, just let go. Just let go of anything that is not needed. Just release. Anything that has been bothering you, causing you stress, anything that's been challenging you, or been in the way. Just on that out breath, let it go. Let the mother take it. Maybe there's a sound that wants to come out. Maybe there's a movement that wants to happen. And just no judgment here, only loving presence as you meet yourself with compassion. And now just beginning to let your body soften and lean into this sense of being held. So if you're supported by something on your back, just lean deeper into that support. And now bringing your consciousness from the root or the base of your spine, where your womb is glowing red, ruby red, just like Mother Earth's. Bring your consciousness from there upwards through that central axis within your body, passing your solar plexus and passing your heart chakra and your throat and your third eye, and finding your crown. Visualizing a lotus flower or a rose at your crown, blooming open to allow all that good information from the cosmos to enter your crown and really just seep into your body, into every cell, and to guide you. And now directing your inner gaze back to your heart as you receive nourishment and wisdom from Mama Gaia and from the cosmos above. And just feel that energy within your body converging at your heart center. And here I invite you to visualize a beautiful sphere of liquid golden light. And feel the presence of this sphere. And imagine that it's like a magnet, and it's able to pull in all parts of you from different timelines, different lifetimes that are perhaps happening simultaneously right now in the here and now. And this golden sphere also purifies all these parts before you bring them back down into your body. So just calling all those parts of you back to this present moment. Just allowing those last fragments of you, perhaps they were severed from you through trauma or through pain, through disassociation that you created to soothe yourself, to not feel. Perhaps they were created through repression of the true you through suppression of who you are, through shame. Whatever it may be, allow these parts to filter in again. And allow the golden sphere of light in your heart to do its work, to purify them and to integrate them back into your body as you become whole again. Beautiful. So now I invite you to see yourself standing before a beautiful temple. And there is a big mahogany door with golden ornate carvings of light. And these spark a remembrance for you. And the door opens slowly, and you are greeted by a sister. And this sister welcomes you, and she gently anoints you with rose oil upon your third eye and your heart space and your womb. And as she anoints you, she says these words: I remember, I reclaim, I rise. And just feel what it feels like in your body as she says these words. I remember, I reclaim, I rise. So what is coming up for you as you are about to step into the temple door? Just take the time you need to have this potent exchange with her. And as you look deeply into her eyes and you bow to one another as she steps back and you enter the temple now. And you notice the floors and the walls are made of amethyst and crystalline rose quartz and citrine. And you feel the cool, smooth gem surface beneath your feet. And the scent of rose and perhaps sandalwood and Palo Santo are wafting in that cool air around you. And as you walk deeper into the temple towards the center, you become aware that you are not the only one here. There are many, many sisters gathering. They are forming a circle just now. And you see they are all gathering around the central altar with a golden tree of life carved in the middle. And upon this altar, there's also an overflowing bowl of precious gems and crystals. And you make your way to the altar as the others have done, and you select one single crystal that calls to you. So just take note of which crystal this is that you've selected, or perhaps has selected you. And you can really feel your crown open as you take your seat in the circle amongst your sisters. And once again, you activate that central axis that runs through your body like a pillar of light from your root to your crown. And as you hold the crystal in your hands, you notice that you're being called to presence the color and energy it contains, filling your body from root to crown, filling your entire inner sanctum with this vibration, letting it seep into every cell of your being, bringing with it the encoded information of this frequency, of this portal into the sacred feminine, through the vibration of this precious crystal. And as you do this, you notice that every sister in the circle is doing the same with their crystals, each one embodying a different frequency, yet harmonically converging, like a beautiful kaleidoscope rainbow in this space. And each sister now runs this frequency into the space, creating a rainbow waterfall of light pouring out of their hands and hearts and crowns and roots. Colors are scintillating and vibrating within this waterfall. Just all colors, from black to gold to white, and every color in between. And feeling your connection to the sisterhood and that web of remembrance and reclamation of this light language of the priestess. Now just breathe in this opening, this invitation, this ceremony of welcome. This ceremony of knowing the power you have within you. And now you look around the circle and find the eyes of a beloved sister. And you look deeply into her eyes, witnessing her soul from your soul. Again, you know you have entered into the remembrance, the reclamation of who you truly are as she mirrors that back to you. And you now ask for a gift. This can be in the form of a symbol or just an image or a word to appear within that scintillating light, in that center of the temple, in that rainbow of light. And just know that this gift, this image, this symbol is specifically designed for you on this journey as you embody your prosperity. And this gift will accompany you throughout your time here in this etheric portal, this container. So just allow it to reveal itself to you and draw it into your womb space or your heart. And just anchor it in deep into your body for safekeeping on your travels. And now look around you once more. And as you do, you recognize that this powerful circle of sisters is also just such a beautiful way to make connections, to witness your own beauty as you do in another, and receive the wisdom and the gifts of the feminine as we are all here together, weaving and activating and creating a living tapestry of truth, of harmony, and of prosperity. So welcome, my sister. Welcome into this sacred circle and temple of reclaiming your true nature and rising as your authentic, most powerful self. My intention for you is to really receive all that you need here to bring you into harmony with your true, abundant nature, and that you may be blessed with all that you desire for your life and your sacred business. And so it is, and so it is, and so mote it to be. So welcome back. If you would like to pause this video to write down any messages or golden nuggets that perhaps bubbled up during this opening activation, you can do that now. And yeah, let's begin. Let's begin here with the second part of the presentation. And this part is all about how do we reclaim our inner priestess of prosperity in a practical way, right? Like, how do we do that in this real world, 3D world we're living in today? And I have 4 steps for you to do that. And it all involves aligning with our cyclical nature. But first, I would like to just begin by reminding all of us that our abundant nature has always been and always will be within us. And, you know, if you're on this call, I'm assuming and betting that you were a priestess or a guide or a healer of some sort in past lifetimes. So for you, for us, it's really about remembering her. It's about reclaiming her and allowing her to rise like that phoenix from within, just like we did in the activation. So, to reclaim our inner abundant and prosperous nature, and to really see that reflected back to us in our environment, we must begin to align ourselves with those rhythms that we see in nature. We have to align ourselves and harmonize with the inherent wisdom of nature. And this means you harmonize with the energies of the seasons, of the moon cycles. But first and foremost, and it's something that we haven't done for many, many years, we harmonize, we align with the natural rhythms in our body. So the body has an intelligence that is governed by these natural laws. And this means that when you are flowing, when you are aligning your actions with these governing laws, you are truly being supported by the biggest force possible, nature herself, life itself, the universe. And when it comes to manifesting anything, whether it be money or wealth or radiant health, committed relationships, whatever it is that you want, you really need to be working with these universal laws to create with less effort and to gain speed and to gain accuracy. And it's just so much more efficient, basically. So yeah, this is exactly how I came into alignment with more wealth, more prosperity in all dimensions of my life. It was through these natural laws that are inhabited in my sacred temple, my body. So I just want to give you a quick background on me if you don't know me. And it's really, centered around this truth of using the wisdom of nature in our bodies to guide our businesses and to guide our lives, like as inner compasses. And it's why I created this retreat, and how I came to realize that the power I have within me is what will gracefully carry me forward into increasing my prosperity, increasing all that I desire, and the effortless manifestation of those desires. So I guess I'll begin where I was about 3 years ago. There was a time in my life where I began to realize that I was listening to my head over my body when it came to making decisions in my business. So I was always kind of thinking like of the end result, like what would my ego want, and basically overriding what my body was capable of. And when you make decisions from this place for too long, I bet you can guess what happens. Maybe it happened to you. Your body eventually starts to break down, and it sends you signs and it sends you messages, because you're going against the natural expanding and contracting energies that are part of who you are as a woman specifically. And I'm going to describe this a little bit more in detail so you can understand what I mean by that. So what's happening when we're just going all the time, right? And we're being productive and we're indoctrinated in that hyper masculine like programming, I guess you could say. We're honoring this one current of energy. And when I do this, I'm picturing, and you can picture along with me, like a yin yang symbol. So here's the white side and here's the black side, and the white is the masculine, right? And this represents, like in a circle of energy, the whole, right? The white and the black, the dark and the light. So, but what we're doing when we're just pushing our bodies and overriding its messages to us just because we want to achieve success, in the name of, success as we perceive it to be in that moment, we are honoring one current of energy, which is the expanding, active, forward moving energy that's more masculine. And that's just much more solution oriented, goal oriented, like achieve, achieve, achieve. But you're ignoring the other half of the energy that makes up your whole being, which is the feminine side, which is that energy that's naturally contractive and receptive. And it's also naturally co-creative, which are beautiful properties, but we don't really honor them as a society. And this all can lead to, the common symptoms that many of us women face as women entrepreneurs. I would say extreme exhaustion, overwhelm. I know for me, there was adrenal fatigue, anxiety, stress, and that all eventually leads to burnout because we're just pushing our physical bodies, and our nervous systems are tattered and frayed, and we're living in that constant state of fight or flight. And yeah, that's exactly what happened to me, as I was saying. And I was headed straight there. I was headed straight for burnout. And I remember I was creating products and programs and just doing launches and live webinars. And it was from a place of depletion. It was a place of exhaustion. And it was not a place for me to be holding space for others. It wasn't, a lot of the times I shouldn't have even been, visible, like in launching and doing live webinars. Like there's moments in the cycle that are really optimal for that. And I was doing it at times that I remember I would be on my moon time or bleeding, and I would be holding a live event. And it was just, I felt my body knew that this was just wrong. There was something wrong. But I wanted to desperately be of service. I love what I do, but I really was depleted, and I was serving from that overworked, empty cup. And at home, I was prioritizing, the needs of my children. And yeah, it was a recipe for disaster, basically, right? But I didn't realize it. That's the sad part. But then COVID happened. And, as much as we feel that it was a disastrous thing, and in many ways it was, there was also the light aspect of it. And for me, that manifested in the sense that my business came to a screeching halt, and I couldn't do anything work-wise. I had my 3 kids at home, and at first I even felt like I was being punished. I felt caged in. I was like, my freedom had been taken away from me. My ability to do what I wanted to do, and to keep going, and to keep working, and to keep serving, it was taken away from me. But I realized that I had been doing things that weren't in alignment for my highest good, and therefore the work, the offerings, the sacred offerings weren't in anyone else's highest good either. So I ultimately ended up taking a year-long break from work. And I mean, in that stillness, in that quiet stillness, that gift that COVID brought to so many of us, although it was like a stillness that was hard to face in many ways, I soon realized that it was really Goddess's way of saying to me, like, no, you can't do it like this anymore. You can't have this anymore. And it's not because I'm punishing you. It's because you're meant for more. You're meant for a more aligned, harmonious, easeful, like replenishing way of living and doing business. And I was soon to find out that it was one that really honors my body and my cyclical nature. So yeah, so even though it felt like my business was being taken away from me. It was being burned down by the dark goddess, I always say, so that this new version of me and my business could arise like a phoenix, and in many ways, I'm sure that is happening for you too, or has happened for you too. So, I guess soon after I recognized these truths, I started to reorganize the foundation of my business so that once my kids were in school again, I was able to work in a way that was like just a new way, a completely new way. And how that way was that I started to base it all on my cycle. So the tasks, the activities, everything was decided based on where I was at in my cycle. And this allowed me to no longer make those decisions from my head, which had gotten me into trouble in the past, and really finally honor that feminine essence, that feminine side, that forgotten part of me. And it was beautiful. And my menstrual cycle really became my best ally. My body became my compass. So this not only changed the game for me and the results I started to see in my own business. These were the results that I had always wanted, right? But I was now able to receive or manifest or make happen in a sustainable way. I took that information and I was able to help the women I work with implement the same structural foundations for their business based on their cycle and their unique rhythm of power. And yeah, the results we all experienced were magical. And I know that for me personally, the money really did start to flow in steadily. And I knew I had tapped into something that was like a critical piece of like the missing piece of the puzzle of the way women do business and have been doing business for thousands of years. I mean, I basically since the beginning of patriarchy, right? When we were taught to shame and repress and disconnect and just push away this power that we have within us. And yeah, this is when I recognized that that magnitude of what we women entrepreneurs have been depriving ourselves of when we don't work in tandem with our bodies. And this is why I decided to create this retreat. I wanted to help all of you who are here reconnect with the essence of the feminine, whether that be through your cyclical nature, which is what I teach, or through pleasure practices, or through any kind of practice that involves the embodiment of the feminine essence. So yeah, we have these bodies that are available to us to co-create with, and they house our souls. And if we allow them to function at their highest levels and we really listen to what they're saying to us, we will create our most potent manifestations because we're working in sacred allyship with them. So ultimately, when we talk about reclaiming and rising as our inner priestess, reclaiming our inner priestess nature, our inherent nature of prosperity, of abundance, this really entails reclaiming our bodies. And for me, I know without a shadow of a doubt, it means reclaiming our cycles. And this, by the way, I meant to mention this, this means that we're reclaiming our cyclical nature, whether we're menstruating or not. I started this work when I was breastfeeding and I was not currently bleeding. And it was still just as powerful. I was just tracking with the moon. So that's all you have to do is track with the moon. If you're not bleeding, if you're in menopause, or you're, for whatever reason, you're not bleeding, you can track with the moon. And I'll go into that in a few moments, how to do that. And just just reclaiming that wisdom, that intelligence contained within these sacred vessels. This is what's going to allow us to move through the world with so much more ease, with so much more flow, and so much more grace. So, with that, I want to share with you the 4 steps on how to get started with this work that I'm speaking of. And you can start immediately. You can start today. They're simple steps, and I use them, and my clients use them, and we all use them to start aligning with our cyclical nature as women. And we discover, in doing this work, we discover our unique rhythm of power. And that is what's going to allow you to prosper in your business and in your life, in all dimensions of your life. So I hope you're excited. I know that this work is just deeply transformational. So I pray that you begin today. So step one is get to know your changing mood, mental states, and energy throughout the month. So you want to begin tracking your cycle. You get to know your changing moods, your mental states, and your energy, your fluctuating energy throughout the month by tracking your cycle. So you want to start by tracking your cycle, and you can use a journal, or you can, if you're cycling with the moon, you can use like a moon chart. So I personally like journals. It's pretty simple. You begin by, on the first day of your bleed or your period, whatever you want to call it, or the new moon, the dark moon, if you're cycling with the moon, you record those thoughts, those feelings, those energetic and physical states that you're feeling in that moment, under the title day 1. So you write day 1 at the top and the date. So you can know this is the first day of your cycle. And just keep in mind that, tracking and writing in the journal, it doesn't have to be like this prolific thing. It doesn't have to be like a huge journal entry about how you're feeling. It can even be like 1 to 3 words. It can be that simple. But it does need to be a consistent practice, because as you watch the pattern of your cycle over time, you get to discover your unique rhythm of power. So, and I like to do this. I mean, people do it throughout the day, or, it doesn't really matter what time you do it, but I mean, a good time to do it is at the beginning of the day, maybe before you drink a caffeinated beverage or something like that, because that will alter how you actually feel. So that's the simple first step. And step 2 is accept and cooperate with your cycle. Now, what I mean by this is you're going to go with the flow of your energy and your mood of your cycle for each day as best as you can. So if one day you're experiencing like low energy and you're just feeling more vulnerable and you really want to be quiet or still, you wouldn't push yourself. You would move more gently, more slowly. It's called pacing. You would pace yourself. You would move much more gently, more with conscious awareness. And you would take practical actions like maybe canceling a social engagement, right? So you would be less social because you're going with and cooperating with your mood, with your energy. So you'll find that cooperating with yourself rather than pushing yourself to be someone or do something that you don't want to do is going to make you so much more creative, so much more effective, and so much more efficient. So imagine with this work, just imagine that your cycle or the moon cycle, if you're cycling with the moon, is your ally. It really is. It's helping you to stay connected to yourself, to your true authentic self, to that abundant nature you have within, because it's governed by laws. So you're flowing with that rather than pushing against it. And it's guiding you. This cycle is guiding you in how to live this healthier, more fulfilled, more meaningful, more prosperous life. Okay, and step 3. Step 3 is get to know the inner seasons and their powers in the cycle. So these are the seasons and the powers that you have within you each month. And it's really, really smart and savvy to become familiar with them and to know how you are within each phase and how you use and implement and optimize the powers within each phase. So I'll start with, I guess, giving you a brief overview of the seasons. So we'll start with inner spring. Inner spring it's also known as like the follicular phase. And it's this waxing moon energy. So the growing, that masculine energy of expansion, of growth. And this is when you're exiting the temple, so to speak, the moontime temple, and the bleeding has just stopped. And you're entering a phase where your energy, your chi is just slowly starting to build and expand. And I want to say, I want to really emphasize slowly, because many times, I know, if myself included, if you're a sprinter in spring, you're going to stop bleeding and you're going to want to just kind of jump the gun and start getting going, right? But we don't want to do that. We really want to honor that slowly building and expanding energy. And your attention and your focus are moving away from where you have been, which is that deep inward connection to your inner life, to your soul's purpose, to just your internal world. So it's starting to shift back outwards. And you'll usually experience greater clarity, more focus in your work. So you can use that for as a power, and you'll experience motivation. So in terms of energy optimization, and I like to bring this up because for me, how I run my life and my business all really boils down to energy management, so that I can achieve that, I don't know, long lasting, like legacy type success, legacy worthy. I'm not here to just create things that don't make a lasting impact. And I know you're not here to do that either. We are here to, in the long run, right? We want to stay strong. We want to help people. We want to help the earth. We want to use this lifetime to the most, to its fullest potential. And that's what I want for you. So I know that doing this work is going to enable and unlock that power. So in terms of spring, this flavor of spring, it's really a great time to start new projects. It's a time that you have this like natural ability and desire to just initiate things. There's this energy of initiation, like I want to initiate, I want to start things. It's new beginnings. So if you have anything that you've felt stuck around or that you've lost steam around, it's a great time to pick it back up and keep it moving forward, if it's something that you want to commit to. And when I think of spring and the inner spring and the powers that this season brings, I think of the powers of tenderness, of curiosity, of wonder and play. A couple of other powers might be like that sexual desire starting to grow. And this is archetypal. These are archetypal powers, meaning like not all of us will experience them. But as you harmonize with your cycle, you will start to embody the full spectrum of the powers that they contain, because you're listening to the law, you're working with the law, and that helps you. It helps you experience the fullness of what life has to offer you through your body. So yeah, and a couple other powers for spring are just imagination, and like using our imagination and that sense of possibility, and just like growing life within us, growing and rising energy within us. And I mentioned the focus and more motivation and more enthusiasm for life, right? So those are just a couple of powers that you may experience and that you will start to experience more and more of as you do this work. So inner summer, that's the next phase. This is also full moon phase. And it's also the masculine energy still. It's an energy of yes, right? We're not using our boundaries so much. We're not saying no to life. We're saying more yeses, because we have that energy to back it up. We can say yes. We have that energy to, make a commitment and stand in it and follow through. So work-wise and life-wise, I guess you could say, this phase is really, it can bring a sense of like arrival, of being like, this is it. This is what, this is what I've been working for, or this is what I've been living for. Like for me in my meditations, I visualize myself on a mountaintop, just looking out on the vista and the horizon, and just seeing all of the abundance and the expansive beauty of nature and of life. And I get to take that in from that vantage point. So yeah, so generally energy wise, you're at the peak of your energy, and you're usually more confident. You're really at the peak of your confidence too. And you have this, you're in the flow of life, right? And you have this greater capacity to achieve, to manifest, to produce, which is what we've been trained to do, right? But this is that moment. This is actually the moment to do that. And you also have more patience with others. I know that during my full moon energy, my inner summer, I at home, on the home front, I can feel like super mom. And in my business, sometimes I can feel like superwoman. But we need to remember that this moment is just a moment, and it will come again, but it will also disintegrate. It will dissolve. So yeah, so productivity wise and energy optimization wise, you're typically really like more communicative. And it's really, I love this time for being visible in my business. It is a great time for launching, for doing webinars, for holding workshops, or even having important conversations that might be more difficult in other phases of the cycle. And the great part is, as women, we will just be more naturally magnetic at this time, and we'll draw in what we desire more effortlessly. So yeah, that's why it's another reason it's such a great time to kind of just put yourself out there, because you will draw in what you desire for your highest good. So a couple of powers of the summer, just to give you a little taste, are really that outward focus, that high energy, that ability to take charge, right? And then there's that amazing power of magnetism, of attraction, easeful attraction. You have the power of generosity. You're naturally much more generous at this time because you have that energy within you to follow through with that. You're not depleted, typically. And I'll just side note here that it took me probably, I don't know, a good 6 months or 7 months of tracking to really come into alignment with the full powers. And if you're coming from burnout and you're moving into the fullness of potentiality that is embodied within the cycle, you really you want to give yourself time to like allow for these powers to become more alive in you. So don't get down on yourself if you're like, I don't peak in the summer, energy wise. It's probably because you need to rest more during your menstruation or during the dark moon, so that you can start to balance your whole inner ecosystem. So moving on, inner autumn. Inner autumn is a profound one. It's also the waning moon energy. So we're back on the feminine side of the yin yang circle. And it's this energy of contraction, of abatement. So where we were expanding here, now we're starting to contract. It's the cycle of life. And we use the power of no in our daily life. It's strongly, strongly recommended to just say no to things that aren't important, that aren't going to be feeding you, that aren't going to enhance you. So yeah, there's this gradual pulling in of energy. So you're drawing back into yourself. And what's happening is the lights are turning on in your inner life, in your needs, in your emotional world. And you have more insight into what's working in your life and what's not. This is like the truth speaking phase, my mentors call it. It's it's like you have these powers to really be more discerning about what should say and what should go. And that could be even physical, like clutter. Like I know during this phase for me, it's like I can see dirt much more profoundly. It's very much more obvious to me when I see clutter or dirt and I'm like, I want to clean it. That's that energy. That's the autumn energy. And energy wise, it's a great time for, like I said, tidying up your space, and that could be your workspace or your home. And since we're talking about business, it's a great time to just start to reorganize or revise or edit projects that need that critical eye to become their best selves, for them to like grow into their fullest potential. You really need to use that critical eye, that discerning eye, and be ruthless, be pretty ruthless about what needs to go. And it's a great time to bring projects to completion. So a couple of powers of inner autumn are this heightened intuition. You have also this like shamanic intelligence. So you're very connected to, the ethereal world, whatever you want to call it. The veil is thin. The cosmos, the ancestors, the guides, you have this connection that is stronger. And your instinctual knowing is just on point. Again, the power of saying no, that's a big one for inner autumn. And then there's that power of truth speaking and just being real with yourself about your life, about where you're headed, about the big vision, about what you're creating, and saying, okay, I'm going to prune this. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to trim this out because it's not getting me where I want to go. Yeah. So that's inner autumn. Now we arrive at inner winter. And this is the menstrual phase or the new moon phase or dark moon. You can call it either one. And this is the strongest in terms of using that power of no and that energy of no towards the world and creating a sanctuary around yourself. So this phase, and its natural powers are huge. And sadly, they're really the most misunderstood, and they're the least accepted. And of course, this phase is, we have the least energy, right, available to us within our bodies. And this kind of creates like a vulnerability. But what happens is that if you're protecting that vulnerability, if you're protecting that space, you're providing an opening to a very heightened intuition. You're providing an opening, a portal. There's a portal there where the veil is now the thinnest, right? And so you're getting downloads, you're getting deep, profound insights. You're getting solutions to problems that you may have had for years if you're safeguarding this space for yourself. But you have to really allow yourself to take the time to listen. You really do. And that means resting. That means carving out time in your schedule. That means saying no to your partner, to the kids. That means asking for help. I know for me, I have enlisted my husband to take the kids to school on those days, those mornings, so I can just go back after the breakfast routine, the morning routine is over. I can just hop back into bed if my schedule allows, which usually I have created it so that it does allow that. And that is a game changer. So yes, winter, honoring this time for rest, renewal of your body, your spirit, and this opportunity to connect with the deeper you. And it's practical too, because you can get downloads or insights about just like what's next step you need to take in your business, in your projects. It's amazing. There's clarity, there's direction that comes in. And you can ask, you can set the intention. It's very important also to be like, I'm going to bleed on this. I'm going to really dive deep into this challenge or this thing that is causing me some stress. And I want some solutions. I want some insight around this, and they will come. So yeah, winter, it's that time for that rest, that renewal of your body. And it's really that beautiful moment also, which is deeply touching to me, and why one of the reasons I fell in love with this work, because I never knew that this was possible. It's such a moment to touch into your purpose, your soul's purpose, your divine mission here on earth, and why you're here in this lifetime. You get to feel it. You get to see it at depths that you wouldn't normally have the capacity to do during your menstruation or during the dark moon. So just let that sink in. There's this feeling also of union and intimacy with all of life. And so that recharges you, and that helps you go into the next cycle and set the tone for the next cycle of like feeling recharged and re-energized and replenished to go fulfill your mission, to go do the work, the sacred work you are meant to do. And I just want to conclude here for winter, where reminding you that the more we rest and go inward here, the more we'll feel energized and productive during the month ahead, and especially during ovulation. And it balances, rest at menstruation like balances everything out. So with that, I will go into the final step, which is to sync your schedule with your cycle. So as you begin as an entrepreneur, this step is crucial. I love it. It ties everything together. As you become more familiar with your unique pattern of energy and mood, and you get smart about how you schedule things, right? You will start to be able to make changes in the way that you work that are in harmony with this inner wisdom that is revealing itself to you every day and that you're tracking. So you'll know when should I be more visible? You can track that. You can say, oh, day 11, like right around ovulation, I feel so confident. I feel so energized by life. I feel like I can take on the world. So that's when you want to be visible. That's when you want to be launching. And you'll find times when you feel like, oh, this is when I'm great at like doing creative tasks, like creating content for my website or for my marketing. And you just start to like move this information into your schedule, and you pair it and you align it, and it's just like magic happens. So obviously you can't control all aspects of your life, but doing cycle syncing can really, really ease things. So I guess just as if you're just beginning with this work, and maybe you're already been doing it for many years, which is amazing, you can just start with knowing when menstruation will be coming, roughly, and you use an app. You can use an app for that, or you want to know when the new moon is happening if you're not menstruating. And during that time, you want to clear your schedule as much as possible so that you can get that sleep, that rest that we talked about, and really just do nothing, so that the rest and that time of menstruation can work its magic on you, because that's what it's doing. It's a time that the body is actually alchemizing and transmuting energy and recycling energy and composting energy for you, preparing you for the next cycle. So you really want to honor that. And I invite you to start to track roughly when your bleed or your moon time is due. And I've been using an app for many years now. I've switched around, but right now I use Flow. I think it's FLO, and you can use the free version of that, and that will just help you track when it will predict when your menstruation time will begin. And so you can use that as like a blueprint for how you plan your month ahead, work-wise, or at home too. And again, you can plan those launches, those events where you'll need more confidence around when you're ovulating or when the full moon is happening. It's actually this way of planning and creating schedules is how I created this retreat. I made sure that my interviews were happening on times when I was feeling, on point and ready to be visible, and as much as possible. Obviously can't do it all, but yeah, and it worked out so beautifully, so beautifully. So This is just the beginning of how we remember, how we reclaim, how we rise as phoenixes from the ashes, as priestesses, as medicine women, as witches. And yeah, if you would like to go deeper into this type of remembrance, into this type of reclamation of your true nature, and if you would like to identify your unique rhythm of power to aid you to fully blossom into your sacred work, I invite you to apply for one of my free gifts, which are here down below. And yeah, they were specifically designed to help you uncover that path, that personalized, bespoke path, for you to exponentially grow and to really expand in your income, in your freedom, in your soul purpose fulfillment. So, and it all will happen with so much more ease, so much more flow, so much more grace when we do this work. So I invite you there, and I hope to see you and meet with you one day. And yes, I'm sending you all so many blessings, and I hope you enjoy this retreat. Let it nourish you, let it fill you up from head to toe. I'm sending you so many blessings. Best wishes, my sisters.